Now let's understand what we are going to learn in whole ABAP. So as a course content, I was telling it's the 40 hour of syllabus, and we are going to learn first here the ERP. What is the ERP software and how ERP works? When I'm telling ERP, anybody is in the field of SAP or maybe other ERP can relate. So ERP is basically a whole package or a business solution that we cater to manage any entity or organization. Let's say we have a plant called Tata Steel, and in order to run a manufacturing steel plant, we need engineers to workers. We need material. We also need finance. We also need the whole sales and distribution cycle to be operated. So all these small need, we can create different softwares in different other languages if we want. The problem would be when you create different softwares and different solution, and you try to have an interaction between, let's say, the sales data to the finance data, or maybe the finance data correlated with the material management or inventory data. So in that case, what will happen? Interaction between this software is going to be called as the integration, and this integration is going to have much more difficulties. So that's where this ERP software is coming into market. One of them is SAP. So what SAP does out of the box, it will provide you all those necessary modules or necessary functionalities that we want to use in an industry. And that's where this is a small introduction that I've given you regarding ERP software. So SAP is one of the major player in ERP market, which have almost around 60 to 65% of market share every year if you validate. Now, next to this SAP, we have something called Oracle, JD Edward, and Tally, which is solely used for accounting purpose. So forth and so on. There are so many other players also present in the ERP market, but SAP is one of the oldest player and also the widely used software in the whole ERP industry or ERP market. It caters basically 60 to 65% of market share. So coming to our syllabus, what we're going to understand here first, we will as I said, I've given you a small example of ERP. So we'll be understand detail how this SAP ERP works and what are the different modules SAP has given, and how this architecture of SAP follows. What a architecture in a sense, every software has a similar architecture. We have like the 3-tag architecture, UI, application, and database are 3 different layers. Similar sort of thing also SAP does have. Now, how we are going to target to implement this SAP software when we are coming as an ABAPer. So ABAPer is someone who comes into picture when there is a gap between the need of the software and what is the customer looking for. So let's say you bought SAP, but tomorrow you want to install SAP the way you are running your business. Definitely, a out-of-box software will not cater all of your need, what you're looking maybe to install or to be utilized out of the software. For example, Tata Steel here in India operate on a different taxation policy, but in USA, this Tata Steel will operate on a different taxation rule based on the country. So in that case, your screen or maybe the finance module that you're using in SAP will have different screen or different validation or different rules and other thing based on the taxation policy of other countries. So this is called as the gap. SAP is same for every people, but if you want to do customization according to the need, as I said, a small example is here based on the country, you want to have different taxation policy. So in that case, we should have a liberty to modify the SAP platform or the software. Who can modify? One who can only understand ABAP language can modify. So ABAPer is always comes into picture, or the ABAP consultant is always comes into picture whenever there is a gap between the standard software or standard SAP ERP and basically we what is the need of a customer or what is the need of the software firm who is basically the firm who is basically implementing this SAP software. So ABAPer will always design the gaps between the standard SAP and the expectation of a customer. Now, how do we figure out these gaps? There are various functional consultants present in SAP based on the solution. Functional consultant in the sense I'm talking about the functionalities SAP has given is called as one of the functional module. For example, there is one can learn MM, one can learn HR, one can learn sales and distribution. given by SAP, and we will call them the functional consultant. So when we get a project, in order to implement SAP, we will have to decide what are the current business process client is following on, and if they want to use SAP, what are the expectations they are having, and what SAP cater. If something SAP is not catering in the standard software, then as an ABAP developer, we have to come and we have to develop those extra screen or extra validation or extra functionalities that the client or the customer who is implementing SAP is basically looking for. So the whole syllabus here, it goes with the basic syntaxes. We will be first learning the ERP and overview. Already I have given few of them. So we will be learning here what are the tools, how to log in into SAP later on while you connect. And also along with that, we'll be learning the smaller syntaxes, statements, the way we have this printf, scanf syntaxes in C++. Similarly, we have here something called as write or something called as data in order to print something on the console. So we'll be learning all those small syntaxes and the data type, the declaration, what are the control statements given in SAP ABAP language, how we basically process them, all this sequence of this control program. Then there are, as I said, SAP ABAP is not only a language to validate backend, it also have the capabilities to design the screen. So in order to design the screen, when you're doing something, we need to have, in normal other languages we have this HTML support or CSS support, but in SAP, in order to have them, we basically there are a few commands, and also there are a few ways we can achieve them. One of them is selection screen and MPP programming. So in order to do this selection screen and MPP programming, we need definitely some database objects. So these database objects are nothing but the DDIC objects we called in SAP, where we will be creating basically the data element domain and the tables, and we'll be also creating a relationship between the tables with foreign keys. These are one who knows SQL can relate how these things are. So SAP, as I said, SAP is a hybrid language where we need to take care of the backend as well as the front end design. So these are basically your DDIC objects, and in DDIC object or dictionary level object, we also can have validations with respect to events and all that. Also, we will be learning. Once we have this table, once we have all this in place, the database objects are in place, we can do the CRUD operation or the create, read, update, delete operation. In order to do this create, read, update, delete operations, a similar concept in C++ we call array or maybe pointers. Similarly, in SAP, we call them internal tables and work areas. So we will be, we can manipulate or we can do the CRUD action or CRUD operations on this database object using the internal table and work area concept. And also one of them is the way we call pointer here, we call field symbols. So there are other open SQL syntaxes also we'll be learning in this internal table and work area concept, how we can manipulate the data using this internal table work area, or we can influence the data. Once we learn all these internal table, selection screen, and the backend database object development, we right now, then we will be learning this report creation. So what is the report? Report is nothing but, when I'm taking a sales order report, there are few tables present in the sales order related table will be present in the backend. You get all those necessary data from this table, and then you display according to the user who want it. A report is nothing but a pictorial representation or a column or row representation of a particular data. Now, how do we create them? How do we basically display a particular information in terms of report? In SAP, we have a terminology called reporting, where we can create basic or interactive report. An interactive report is nothing but where you can drill down to different screens. Let's say you have a sales order report. You click on the sales order number. You will navigate to another screen where you can see the details. Who can for whom this sales order has been created, or who is the vendor basically who is involved in the sales order. If you click on the next screen vendor number, then you will be further navigating to the vendor bank details or something like that. So this is called the interactive reporting. Basic report is nothing but one screen. Interactive report is like you can navigate from one particular screen to another screen in terms of the relationship that you have in the report. So in the beginning, we will be learning this basic and interactive report. As we go ahead, there is a smart reporting concept of ALB that also will be learning. So once the reporting is done, we will be dealing with the function modules. So what is a function module? A function module is basically similar to we have something called as parameters in uh, C, C++. Similar concept is called a function module, where a function module is just a piece of code. What can based on the requirement, it can either manipulate the information or it can display the information the way you want. So we'll be also learning how to create a function module and what are the possible input output fields we need to provide in a function module, and can these function modules be used as a remote function call to pass the data or to establish a connection between different SAP server. So that also will be learning in this function module. Once all these things are done, we will be learning this. Okay, there is something called subroutine. So subroutine is also similar concept like a function model, but these all are small technologies or small piece of chunk given by SAP, where you can directly influence a particular piece of code or logic using subroutine or function module or macros. Few things are they predefined set of subroutines or predefined set of function module what you can utilize just to influence the piece of code or influence a particular piece of logic. You can call subroutine or you can call function module. Instead, you directly hard code them inside the code. So we'll be also learning all the subroutine and function module. Once we know all the small things related to the screen development or logic development, we will be coming to MPP programming, which is your module pool programming, or the thing I was telling you, designing the UI, where the UI design is going to be involved. Here one can design the complete layout based on the standard SAP or maybe the customer need. When I'm telling screen design, it involves different screen element like drop downs or a table information, or maybe one can have uh, a header, and let's say there is a report where you have this header informations, and also you have the footer information where all the data is basically is summing up. If you're doing some summation operation in the footer level, so how to design all those things, input output fields, and let's say if you want to populate some messages onto a particular field. So all those small dialogues can design we will be learning in this MPP program. So far, whatever things we have learned, next whatever things appear here, ALB, SAP script and form, we will be utilizing all this information till MPP, whatever we learn. ALB is nothing but a smart reporting concept. If you know function module, then you can use standard SAP given function module to create ALB reports. So why we need ALB report? Because in the market, nobody utilize the older way of creating interactive and or the basic report. Instead, we call different ALB classes, ALB function modules to create our ALB layout or the smart reporting. It has many more functionalities associated. One can create an interactive report directly using the core ABAP concept. But if someone knows the function module, we can call the function model and play around with the report in a smart way using the ALB function models. So that's where I told you, till so far, whatever we have learned will be all, all those implications of the small things so far will be happening in ALB. Similarly, if you know that as I said, so far, whatever you have learned, let's say the database table or maybe the internal table or work area, we'll all be utilizing all of them in SAP script and smart forms. So what is a SAP script or smart form? In a small example, if I will put, let's say we create a purchase order, and the purchase order screen will have a logo, will have a tabular information, will have a header design or something like that. Or maybe let's say you go to any mall, for example, you go to Big Bazaar, you buy something, you get an invoice. In that invoice, you have this Big Bazaar logo printed, the item detail and everything. Now, based on the item that you buy, maybe the quantity varies. But the overall design is similar for every folk who is buying any product from Big Bazaar or any mall for say. Now, in order to design that, design that in a format, we call them script or forms in SAP. So this is nothing but a particular piece of area where you have all your header, logo, drawings, or maybe related in a format that you want. So SAP has a functionality called script and forms, which will allow you to create your own template for anything. Maybe I've given an example of invoicing. Similarly, purchase order, maybe sales order, any form you want to create in a specific format. We'll be doing this all thing via SAP script or the smart forms. So script is an older or obsolete technology of SAP, but still we will be learning script. In order to cope up the smart form, one should know this SAP script. Otherwise, it's very hard to catch up. So although it is obsolete, but few organizations where they are using the older SAP system, they are still using this SAP script. So it's always good to learn. Now, once all these things are over, we will be learning this data transfer technology. Data transfer technology in the sense, what is this data transfer technology? There are many ways we can achieve this data transfer in SAP. And what are them? Why we are calling it data transfer? Let's understand first. Let's say you as the organization using Oracle software for your organization ERP. After 10 years of usage, you found there are drawbacks. I want to migrate to SAP. Now, in order to migrate to SAP software, you're doing the same sales order distribution data in Oracle in a different format. And now you want to utilize SAP sales and distribution software. So all your tenure of data should also visible in your current SAP application. So how you're going to do that when you're going to use SAP for the first time, all your past record or data should be present. How we can transfer this old past record using either LSMW or maybe using the BDC. So LSMW and BDC both are similar way of sending or populating or transferring data. But the difference is LSMW is a step-by-step procedure without any coding knowledge, where BDC or the batch data communication is a coded format of pushing the data. LSMW can handle smaller amount of data, where BDC can handle larger amount of data. And how we are going to do all this thing whenever data transfer is happening, how we can track the error, or how, if there is something goes wrong with LSMW screen as an ABAPer, where you can come and help. So that's the reason we can learn all this data transfer technology. Once all these things are over, as an ABAPer, whatever you coded, definitely code will give an output. But one should also aware how this code or the performance of your code can impact a particular business functionality. You develop some report. If you click on that report, that gives you the result in 10 minutes, let's say, in the real-time business. But nobody will wait for 10 minutes. So you need to performance tuning of your particular code. The same report should execute in a 3 or 4 seconds. Why it is giving 10 minutes of time? So in that way, you can analyze the performance tuning of a particular SAP code. How we do that? There are various methodologies. Like maybe in the ABAP runtime analysis or code inspector we can use, or maybe we can do a SQL trace. So there are various ways. So we will also be learning all this coding, code tuning or code analyzing technologies, or related performance improving plan of a particular SAP code. And once all this syllabus are over, we are actually done with our complete ABAP syllabus. But there are few additions with respect to that. As a ABAP developer, one should aware. So I'll be giving a brief idea about what is the WebDen Pro. Although WebDen Pro is right now not actually being used in many organizations, but it is another way of achieving web services design in ABAP. So I'll only give you architecture and component details of this WebDen Pro. And also I'll give you an overview of workflow concept, how different workflow terminologies work, and how the SAP ABAP workflow we can relate as an ABAP consultant. But this workflow within Pro are different syllabus altogether, different learnings altogether. So if you start your ABAP career, there are many more technologies or many more additive related platforms that you can learn. So for that purpose, we'll be learning here the WebBin Pro, and we'll have an overview of WebBin Pro and the workflow concepts. So with this, our syllabus is going to complete. We plan it as a 40-hour syllabus, but let's see. I mean, here and there, 1 or 2 hours, as I said, can be adjusted. Now coming back to our PPT. So these are the things we will be learning, and as I explained you, ABAP is a definite language for SAP. It's only solely made for SAP design. Not, no other platform or software maker can use SAP ABAP language. So let's understand what's the importance of this SAP technology. Basically, as I said, it's specifically designed for SAP, so it works very seamlessly with any SAP environment, and it's very easy for integration. And also, on a high level customization, SAP ABAP offers a greater degree. I mean, if you're a ABAP developer, you want to do some sort of changes, then or customization in the standard software, as an SAP ABAP developer, you have the highest level of liberties or degrees to do it. Any changes that you want to perform on the screen, you can do. That allows, basically, SAP allows you using this ABAP technology. What is the benefit of this ABAP technology? As I said, it's only a corner technology related to SAP, so it's very robust in terms of design language. Compared to another programming language, as I said, object-oriented concept, or maybe the memory allocation concept, or the serialization concept you have, all those things are taken care inside ABAP. So it's very robust in terms of programming nature. And the thing is, as I said, it's a proprietary language by SAP. You will be having lot more support from this SAP platform itself. There is a community called support.sap.com or scm.sap.com, where you can have large support of developers, where, let's say, as we have something called as Discord, or maybe something called as Stack Overflow, where you find related programming language helps, or maybe the communities where you can find related to C, C++, other language. Similarly, SAP does also have its own community, where you can directly go and ask SAP, or maybe the support, or maybe any expert. Basically, it's a forum to ask any questions. So that's there, already. There's a large community of ABAP is already present, what you can utilize. Coming back to the advantages and disadvantages, as I said, it's a high demand language, because the job opportunity for a ABAPer is very high. Why? The reason being, if somebody is using SAP, you can only hire a SAP developer, which is basically a ABAP developer. You cannot hire a C, C++ developer. So what happens? Very lesser people are actually present in the market. So one who knows this SAP ABAP can actually ask for a higher, or can demand for a higher salary, or even the normal salary of an ABAP is very high compared to the other developers, since it is only catering to SAP. So that's the reason the industry standard offer very high demand, and the earning potential is also very high. As day by day SAP is growing, we have support of multiple ABAP technologies along with that. I mean, as an ABAP developer, you not only work as a particular programming person, but also you are involved with many business processes. So a particular technical ABAP or technical person in SAP can make themselves as a techno-functional person. I mean, let's say as an ABAPer, you have worked with material management or finance related applications in your career, you can actually project yourself as a techno-functional folk. So that's where the advantages are lying. Now, what are the disadvantages? It's actually constantly evolving. As I said, SAP ABAP is not the same. They have launched SAP ABAP back in 1988 as a language, as an official programming language. And from then till so far, we have so many developments So many new syntaxes, so many newer versions coming up of ABAP every single year. Either maybe, as I said, the subroutine function models. So these are smaller advancements they were doing back in 1990s. And so far we have this class object and other, advanced ABAP, which is the object-oriented ABAP concept, and maybe let's say the OData concept or the HANA-related concepts are present in the market. So it's constantly evolving. That's the reason, any language is constantly evolved day by day, but the approach of ABAP is to take it to the next level. So that's the reason SAP is making constant evolvement every year. So it's very hard to cope up ourselves, but yeah, that's the challenge or disadvantage, I would say. And another thing is it's very limitedly applicable for only SAP field. That is the reason, as an ABAPer, everybody can learn ABAP, but the skill wise, if you are highly specialized, then you can get a high demand job, because you can hardly identify 200 to 300 good ABAPer in any platform. Let's say it's a Naukri.com or maybe anything. So if you learn the proper specialized things in ABAP, then it's good to get a job, and also as I said, it's very high in nature in terms of the market demand. There's no concept of recession or something like that in ABAP, because so far you have these organizations or manufacturing to retail to so far your industries are present, you will be having this ERP software, and SAP is always there in every ERP market. That's the reason the chances of getting a job is very high. Now let's understand what is the differentiator from other parallel technologies in the market. As I said, ABAP is very easy to integrate. It's specifically designed for SAP. So with any SAP module or application, it's very easy to work with. Now, customization is also something. As I said, you can have your own set of expectation with SAP solution. So the customizations you can do according to the specific need of your organization. And ABAP as a hybrid language have multiple pre-built libraries present inside it, so one can use them to maybe to have a lesser effort with respect to the coding standard. As I said, a function model is one of the example. If you know how to create a report, you can write a report, but if you want to make it smarter, you use the ALP function model. So there are so many ways one can reduce the effort using the pre-built library objects, which is present in the SAP ABAP libraries. Now, performance-wise, it's very reliable, because at the end of the day, you as an ABAPer will...
Hello.
Hello?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah. Can
Sir,
we
could
address
you
all the
please?
questions? One second. Can we address all the questions at the end of the whole
Okay, okay, sure.
presentation?
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
I'll
Okay,
give a
sure.
chance to all of you. I just want to complete it, and then you can have questions. We will be discussing.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So yeah, as I was telling, so it's very reliable in terms of performance, and it's a very mature language. It's not like it only caters to the back end or to the any specific DB related operations. So it's very mature in terms of the age of this language. It's present almost more than 30 years. Now let's understand the job opportunities. These are all the things I've explained to you. So as an SAP ABAP developer, you can start your career once you worked with multiple, slowly, every ABAPer will work with definitely some small functionalities in the beginning of a career. Like maybe you will work with SAP or SAP FICO or SAP SD consultant. With time grows, you will be also catering yourself as a expert in finance sector for banking industry. Maybe let's say Barclays is using SAP, where you are responsible for designing this finance related module for Barclays. So similarly, let's say I have expertise with plant maintenance or service industry as an ABAPer. So once you grow as a ABAP career, you will also learning the business functionality that you're developing. So in that way, you are creating a scope for yourself only to project as a techno-functional consultant or techno-functional ABAP consultant in the market. So with this larger ecosystem, once you start growing from a developer to consultant, then to a technical lead, then maybe architect and project lead or a delivery lead, there's so many ways you can project your career once you start, working as an ABAP. I mean, it depend again, someone's choice, like how they want to project. Some people, they have a larger goal of, being a techno-functional consultant catering a particular industry, where some people have this goal to learn everything, maybe the front end, back end, on the other ABAP technologies related to Fiori, OData, and other things. And then we, project ourselves as a technical architecture. So that's where, the key differentiator comes. Now, what is the future of this technology? It's evolving every day. With the coming of HANA inline engine or HANA database, nibs and taxes are coming up to ABAP. And as an ABAPer, SAP is, basically expecting every ABAP should, every ABAP consultant should, be aware of the HANA concept, because HANA is very widely popular, getting very popularity nowadays in the market. And the next business would basically SAP is starting to buy with HANA. So that's the reason, people have to update themselves, and the future of this technology is probably, let's say, not only your, ABAP development with HANA, but also SAP with the Fiori application or UI5 application, or maybe the cloud development. So there are various technologies which is coming up with, ABAP as a supported platform. Now, competitors, there's no similar competitor directly present to ABAP, but as I said, it's only a sole language for made for SAP. There's no direct competitor, but there are various ERP competitors present in the market. Like we have Salesforce, we have JD Edward, we have Oracle, we have Tally, we have Zoho, we have, so many other ERP players in the market. So that's why the competitors are present, but there is no direct competition to SAP in terms of your, I mean, what we say, ABAP language competency. So there's no direct competitor. Now, obviously, we all have expectation once we learn about, how can we do the certifications. Is SAP provide you to do certifications, and how we do the certifications? There are actually, a different way you can apply for the certification, starting from the development associate to HANA associate to technology associate. And there are few more other certifications are also present in the SAP field, but I have not, listed here. So what we can do, once you learn the whole ABAP concept, you will need to request SAP in this learning hub. There is something called as learning hub provided by SAP, where you can write examination. There are two ways of writing SAP examination. One is a sixth attempt, exam. One is a single attempt exam. So I think the voucher code or something related to that is CR 0006 and CR 001. So if you are writing any of this exam, one in the sense you have only one attempt to clear the exam. Six in the sense you have six different chances to clear the exam. If you clear one particular certification once, you have another five chances to appear any other certification in a complete financial year. So, and it costs around you, I guess, varies actually every month, because every month SAP basically allows you to write certification. You can book online. It costs basically 50 to 60K, but again it depends on every month the dollar cost average. So that's the way, 50 to 60K, or maybe somewhere around 65K you can spend, and you can do certification. For certification, SAP normally provide you the learning hub access, where you can learn. Or there are certificate dumps are also present. One can refer them, and then, if someone have a good idea of all these learning materials, one can write the certification. Yeah, go ahead. If anybody have any questions, I will be, clarifying. Hello.
Yeah, so sir, I wanna ask you, like, could you please explain, like, what is the role and responsibility for the functional and the technical team?
Okay. 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 Let's do one thing. My screen is still visible, right?
Yeah, yeah, visible.
I will just open a notepad to explain you in a very small detail. So as I said, SAP ERP basically cater different functionalities. Maybe I'm just quoting here, like, which is material management. Similarly, we have something called QM, quality management, something called as PM or plant maintenance for service industry. We have something called as PP, plant production, sales and distribution, finance, controlling, etc., etc. There are more than 300, functionalities SAP does provide. Now, these all are functionalities given by SAP. Let's understand in a very, very basic manner. You know how to work with Excel. So Excel is the functionality given by Microsoft. Similarly, Microsoft cater if other, functionalities also. For example, Word, or for example, let's say Microsoft Dynamics have so many other products. So you can actually, learn the whole Excel or whole Word concept. Now you can call yourself as an Excel expert. Similarly, SAP also does provide more than 300 functionalities, and anybody who is, telling himself as the consultant or QM consultant, he is actually expert in That means he learn almost, let's say in we have altogether, in SAP we have altogether 50 different business solutions or business processes. So all these 50 business processes, as a consultant, you should know. If you know all these 50 business process, then whichever company is asking, to implement SAP, let's say Tata Steel, I was quoting. So Tata Steel is basically organization which which bought, SAP license, and then they asked Wipro to, hey, can you do an implementation for us? Because Tata still have no expertise, because they have no IT team. So they asked, okay, Wipro, can you do a little implementation? I mean, can you do the implementation for SAP? So what happens? Wipro then will send different functional folk or different functional consultant, okay, related to all SAP solution that Tata Steel is looking for. What Tata Steel looks for? Tata Steel looks for QM, SD, PP, and PM. Because they want to use SAP only for this many, or let's say HR is also on them. So they want to use for all these things. What Wipro will do, Wipro definitely have QM, SD, PP, PM, HR, all those experts with them. So Wipro will send these consultants to have a detailed discussion on the expectation of Tata Steel, and they will gather all the requirement. Now, what they will do a brainstorming in the beginning, saying, tell me what is the current business process, and they will understand the current business process. They will tell them in SAP, these are the solutions provided. Now, if something is not getting matched while they gather the requirement, they will definitely call them as a gap. So this gap has to be designed, because Tata Steel bought SAP with the expectation, these are the thing I want. But I have also some other, requirements or other, feature that I look for, but that is not catered by SAP. Now this is called your gap. Now this gap has to be filled up by a ABAP consultant. How? With the expertise of the functional folk and the coding knowledge of your ABAP resource. So what they will do, let's say there is the invoice process. So in invoice process, there are altogether 5 screens available in standard SAP. But Tata still expect, I need 3 more screens to accommodate some data. That is what they were using in the older ERP. So they want all these 3 screens. SAP is not providing. Here, the consultant who is responsible for the invoice process of invoice business process of SAP, he will understand, he will gather the requirement, and then he will tell ABAPer, hey, I actually need this 3 screen, and this 3 screen is not provided by SAP. But in order to create this 3 screen, this is what the logic. So you need to create these 2 tables, and these are the field detail of the table, and this is what the logic should work. I mean, this is what the logic it should fetch the data or create the three screen based on this logic. So then the ABAPer will come and he will be based on the functionalities, whatever this expert has said. Based on the functionality, he will be sending a functional specification. So this functional specifications, the ABAPer will understand, and then he will try to come up with his own tech documentation or what we call technical specification. Now, based on the technical document or specification, he will be creating all these three screens. So that's where a ABAPer is a person who comes when there is a gap, or in a day-to-day business process. Let's say in standard screen also there might be some dump or some error coming. So ABAPer will come only then to analyze this error, or if there is any gap, then only ABAPer will comes into picture. Or let's say if there are batch data that you are sending, I mean, from an older legacy system, we are migrating to SAP. So you have to prepare large set of data, prepare programs, and then send it. So that's where your ABAPer is coming into the picture. So this is what the difference is between a functional consultant and a technical SAP ABAP consultant. I hope I have done justice to your question. If you have,
Yes.
okay. Any questions you guys have, you can raise, or maybe we can wind it up.
So nowadays is HANA is like a little bit knowledge about HANA is like it's there is needed. So in this module there is no is HANA like
Yeah,
all
so
of
the reason for that is, as I said, if you want to learn HANA, the prerequisites is to learn ABAP. And once you know ABAP, that to be there are few advanced concepts in ABAP. So that also one needs to understand before jumping into HANA. So that's the reason, if you have the complete ABAP knowledge, then only you can jump to HANA platform and learn the advanced syntaxes. So that is where it's again different wholesale. I mean, ball game itself. I mean, this itself is a whole syllabus. The ABAP and HANA is a complete different thing. There if you do not know ALB, then you can't know the ALB IDE framework given in HANA. So it's like that. That's where the difference comes. The prerequisite for
okay.
learning HANA is you need to learn ABAP.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, then I guess I'm done, and later on, you guys will be maybe get a call from Radical, and based on your availability, we can connect. Fine then. So thank you then. Bye.
Thank you, sir.